Why, hello, and welcome to the 22nd annual Satchmo Summerfest presented by Chevron. The thing I like about Chevron is their logo is a chevron. There it is. So this is Satchmo Summerfest presented by Chevron. You find yourself at the Satchmo Legacy Stage in memory of Joni Berry. More on her in a moment. This is the only festival in Louisiana dedicated to Louis Armstrong and is produced by French Quarter Festivals Incorporated. Give them a big hand. Very small staff. They do great stuff. And the organization is a nonprofit showcasing New Orleans culture and heritage since 1984. Orwell would like that, I guess. This festival is made possible through the generosity of our sponsors and supported through your purchase of festival merchandise and delicious beverages, which are available downstairs outside, and be responsible, especially for the latter portions. I want to thank all of our sponsors, especially Chevron, of course, the New Orleans Jazz Museum, our hosts. Also, the Joseph K. and Inez Eichenbaum Foundation and Mr. Stephen Maitland-Lewis, who are sponsoring this stage in memory of Joni Berry. She was the wife of Stephen Maitland-Lewis and was a great friend of this festival, and she passed away recently, and so we're dedicating this stage to her once again this year. Yes. Also, the Ella Fitzgerald Charitable Foundation. Janice, folks. Janice, take a bow over there. Our friends from New Jersey, Richie and Vicky Norigian, who are not here this year, but give them a hand too. They might be watching on a live stream. And Andrea Duplessis. Take a bow, Andrea. A great friend of jazz in New Orleans for a very long time. Also, I'd like to remind you that first, some of you have embarrassing ringtones, so turn it off, because, I don't want to hear Stephen with his, Beyonce ringtone. Let's say streaming at the NOLA Jazz Museum, all these events, and you could look at them again if you enjoy them when you come back. You could relive the experience. Also on the YouTube page of French Quarter Festival and the Facebook pages and all that stuff, and they're there forever. Also, if you come back for a later session and there's no room at the end, there is a outdoor overflow room. You go outside the building, and there's a nice room where this is all simulcast, so hello to those in the overflow room. We are starting today with an interview with Lawrence Cotton. Give him a hand, certainly. I will just say of him that he is the oldest jazz musician working in New Orleans today. Yeah. I'll let him fill in the rest, and to guide him through that, we have the great Gwen Thompkins. Of course, she's a longtime NPR correspondent, the host of Music Inside Out, which they are still hosting, where they're still doing the interviews, but it is on hiatus while she completes a book. I'd just like to always say, of course, she wrote the introduction to the new version of my favorite person who ever lived, Danny Barker's My Life in Jazz. That's right. No.
Barker.
Danny
Life in Jazz.
That's what I said. I was right the first time. Don't question yourself, John. The reason that show is on hiatus, Music Inside Out, is because she is at work on a book with the University of North Carolina Press entitled The Thrill is So Divine, The Power of New Orleans in American Popular Music, and ain't that the truth? So I give you, to act as our guide through Lawrence Cotton's life, Ms. Gwendolyn Thompkins.
Hello, thank you, John, and thank you to Satchmo Fest. I love coming here every year. It is one of my most favorite festivals. In fact, I think it might be my favorite festival here in New Orleans, because in large part because I love Louis Armstrong so much. I love Louis Armstrong. Did I mention I love Louis Armstrong, all right? And then also because it's a great opportunity to see Ricky Riccardi, who we'll see later on today, excuse me, the curator of the Louis Armstrong Archive in Corona, Queens, and so many other guests who are going to be, sharing with us different aspects of Armstrong's genius, his contributions, his life. But beware of musical categories. This is my message to you all. Beware of musical categories, because often they're more about dividing musicians than they are about better understanding a song. In the early 20th century, record companies began dividing and conquering music lovers by selling what they called race records in the early 20th century because they thought white people would not want to hear music made by black musicians and vice versa. But that has never been true, right? And more than 100 years later, people who enjoy music and think about music and write about music were still dividing music along racial lines. Urban music, progressive rock, alternative, police, right? And despite the hair and the costumes and the accents, there's very little difference between musicians. And that's because everybody who makes music wants to make something that sounds good. Louis Armstrong used to say that in New Orleans, no one worried about naming categories. It was all music. And today, as John said, we're lucky to hear from a musician who started out on piano in the 1950s with Guitar Slim, and who also played with T-Bone Walker, with Big Joe Turner, with Dave Bartholomew and Teddy Riley, and he's now a master practitioner of music at Preservation Hall. Lawrence Cotton also leads his own band called the Lawrence Cotton Legendary Experience, and I know that you are, because I am. We're thrilled to see him today. And so, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lawrence Cotton. Plenty is up, Mr. Cotton. Plenty is up, and I can't wait to ask you some questions about your life, about your music, about your contributions to music. And so, would you mind if we start with some of your earliest years here in New Orleans? You grew up in uptown New Orleans. What streets were you growing up on?
Between Napoleon Avenue and Jefferson Avenue, about 20 blocks from Audubon Park.
Wow.
Uptown, yes.
Yeah, and have you stayed there your whole life?
All my life. I've been on that street 80 some years, 88, 89 years. And I went out for 6 years. I went to service for 3.
Yep.
And then I played with Guitar Slim for 3.
Yeah.
So that makes 95, right?
Yes. So that makes 95. It's true. So you've been around the world, but you keep coming back to that one part of uptown New Orleans, right?
All my life.
Good for you.
This and the King of Bell Castle Street.
Y'all don't flood up there, though, do you?
No, it doesn't.
That's right. That's your secret.
Yes.
All right then. And so, what do you remember when you were growing up? Do you remember any particular songs that you were hearing back then that you liked, that whenever you think about your early years, you think about those songs in your parents' house?
Not really.
No?
No. Looked like every 10 years of different songs, and everybody was familiar with it. Whatever songs were familiar at the time, that's what you try to play.
Yeah.
Because I had aunt, my dad's mother. He had 4 sisters, and 2 of the sisters had pianos, And I'd go around and jingle and find out different things that was happening, you know. One time, a blues after hours that was very famous, you know, and in the dark, I get such a romance in the dark.
I believe that.
Wow.
Anything can happen after dark.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. And so I've heard that your father was an amateur piano player,
Yes,
right?
he was. He worked on the riverfront, but he never did go downtown. And the sister, she was a comedian, but they could have had a team and went down here in the quarters, but they never did.
That's so interesting. And
I
so
know.
do you think that, I mean, because when you were growing up, there was a far bigger difference between uptown New Orleans and downtown New
You
Orleans.
better believe that.
And so talk a little bit about that. Like, why would your father or people like your dad not feel comfortable coming downtown?
I don't know, but everybody stayed uptown. There were some people, I think if they went to Canal Street, they would get lost.
Well, I believe that because, you know, Danny Barker used to talk about that, you know, talk about the fact that when there were jazz funerals or brass band funerals going through the neighborhoods of New Orleans, that so many neighborhoods, you know, I mean, we're not I mean,
Familiar
sort of
with
had
that.
lines of demarcation.
Right.
So they would let the band through, but they weren't necessarily interested in seeing people from other neighborhoods come in and come through their neighborhood. Had you noticed anything like that?
No, I forgot what musician was famous and they had that type of thing for him. And
Yeah.
that's the first time I'd ever seen it.
Right, like a brass band jazz funeral.
A funeral, yes. That's
Yeah.
the first time I'd ever seen that.
That's interesting. That's
Uptown, they
interesting.
never did anything like that.
Yeah.
They had you had to pay your rent. My daddy, he could play and he'd get the money for the play. And then it was lotto,
Lotto.
$5. I mean, a nickel will get you $9.
Really?
My daddy, he's lucky sometimes, you know, he put a dime, $18, man, see.
And so he had to choose the right number?
Yeah, 5, 10, and 40, that was very famous.
Did he have any favorite numbers?
I'm telling you, 5, 10, and 40.
What are your favorite numbers?
Oh, I don't have any particular number. No, I never played. I never gambled. I never was a gambler.
You know the authorities are not here. You know that, right?
But I'm saying, but when I was in the service, I went into service 1946. The war was over, but I call it the Cold War.
Right.
And then, and when you get paid, you go into the train and the guys be shooting dice, man.
Yeah.
I put some down and I'd get a big, hey, get a bunch, and I'm gone. I didn't stick around because you lose what you have, you know, you get greedy.
Well, that's true. But you did you said 5, 10, 40 though, right?
5, 10, and 40. 5, 10, and 40.
Oh, 5, 10, and 40. All right, all right. You all may remember that as well. Okay, so, and your mom, did she work outside the house?
No, she lived around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
We live on Bell Castle, 52 blocks from Canal Street, 8 blocks from the river.
Wow.
And the place where she worked is on the corner, a development for two families. The Bowmans had one son, his name was David, and I forgot the other name, Chapman. Chapman had a son and a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And they lived and my mama, she'd be gone 9 hours a day, man.
Doing what?
Whatever was going on over there.
Wow.
And she'd come home with a little plate, and then she had to fix something for us.
Right.
You know, and that's the way it was. And my dad, I was there most of the time by myself.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
And did you have brothers and sisters?
I had a brother, but they was playing ball one day, and he running after the ball, and this guy backed out, and my brother had fallen down, and he rolled over him. He's murdered, you know.
No.
And at that time, nobody was suing anybody or anything. We didn't get anything for it, you know, but he was 8 and I was 4.
He was your older brother.
That's the only one I had.
Yeah. And what was his name?
Walter.
Walter.
We used to call him Walter James Cotton, WJ we used to call him.
WJ.
That's what they called him. I wasn't old enough to really know him.
Exactly, 4 years old. And so at what point did you, as a youngster, decide or notice that you had a particular interest in music?
I don't know, because my dad, we had a piano in the house, and sometimes he'd get up there and he'd play, and he'd bring his friends to the house sometime, and he'd play different things. And one time I was amazed at one guy, he played all the black keys.
The minors.
He playing all the black keys, you know.
Was it sad music?
And I just looked at him and different things that he was doing. It was either G flat or F sharp or G flat. And I was wondering, I didn't know what was going on at that time. I didn't find out about that until after I got out the service. I got out in 1949. It was the Army Air Corps.
Right, right.
And then 1947, I went in 46. In 1947, became the U.S. Air Corps.
Right, the Air Force.
Then it became U.S. Air Force.
That's right.
1947.
Right, before it was with the Army, and now it
Yeah.
became its own entity. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's so interesting. And so you do you think that you gravitated toward piano because your dad played piano, or were you interested in other instruments as well?
No, I thought about playing the trombone, but my mother, I never did tell him.
It was a secret?
Yeah, for me.
Well, why was it a secret, Mr. Cotton?
I don't know. I just thought about it, you know, but I let it slide there.
Well, I would imagine you do all right with the big, long sliding thing. So, as the song goes.
Okay.
All right? But, okay, so let me ask you this. Okay, as you got older then, I mean, you went into the service, you came out of the service. You know what I mean? If you wanted to hear good music in New Orleans, like in the years that you were, at those early years, like in the 40s and early 50s, where did you go? And can you name some of these places where you used to go to hear it?
All right, from my house, a block and a half from my house, Xavier Prep.
Mm-hmm.
Xavier Preparatory. And across that was a hall that we go have and dance.
At Xavier Prep?
No, across the street from
Across
Xavier.
the street.
Was a building over there, still there today.
Okay.
And Blessed Sacrament was a church, a school and a church.
Mm-hmm.
The church was on the bottom, the school was on the top. And
there was hopping music there?
no, the building across the street from the church and the school
Gotcha.
was on the corner.
Okay.
So then we'd go dance. We'd go dance with different bands that played, and I was interested in hearing the bands.
Yeah.
They really were good. I can't remember some of the names of people, but they were really good.
That I believe. And so in the 40s, the late 40s at least, let me think. I'm trying to think of any other clubs. So there was that place that you used to go. Where else did you go? Did you go across the river? Did you go in other parts of uptown? Were you going to the Dewdrop? What were you doing?
I didn't know anything about the Dewdrop then.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good while after I started learning. When I went to music school, it was Grunewald School, 957 Camp Street.
Right.
And we went there. I was supposed to go for 2 years, but I only went for 18. I don't know what happened to the other 6 months.
Maybe you aced it.
No, I did not. No, because I had an instructor there. He's supposed to take whatever numbers, and he could make an introduction for. I don't know how he did. I would have learned that in the other 6 months, but I didn't know how. I had to go to do it to get okay to go to music school.
Interesting. And so at what point did you decide that you wanted to play music for a living?
Oh, I really can't tell you that. I can't remember because I did all kind of jobs. I worked nickel jobs in New Orleans. I mean, you know, we couldn't really get any kind of job that was worth anything.
Right.
I had so many jobs one time I didn't even report it to the people, you know.
What's a nickel job?
I mean, you know, at that time, I mean, the jobs that you had, I mean, you know, $1 was worth about $5 at that time.
Well, certainly, but what kinds of work were you doing for for what you call a nickel job?
Oh, well, let's see. I worked at Maison Blanche for $16 a week.
$16 a week.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. What were you doing there?
Mopping and picking up needles and stuff that the ladies would, you know, when you take your clothes,
Sure.
needle installed on for vacuum cleaning, all that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Calisana, they were on Canal Street, and there was a private club between Gauchos and Calisana, and that's how I met that boy name. I can't think of his name, but I took Miss Kimball. She was supposed to play, and she was playing with his band. I can't think of his name. Papa French.
Oh, Papa French. Okay.
And Papa French didn't want her to hear in the white club.
Okay.
The risky job. And so he said, Cotton, come play in Kimball's place, and that's how I got a chance to play with him.
So Papa French was playing at this club near Gaucho's downtown.
I can't remember the name of it. I tried to think of it. Man, it was
That's okay.
It was a private club.
And Miss Kimball, was that Narvin Kimball's
Yes.
wife?
That's his wife.
Okay,
I don't
she
know-
was playing piano
Yeah,
with Papa French at
with
the
Papa
time.
French
but,
band.
But he did not want her to play that gig.
He didn't want her to play the gig for those while these people were talking different things. You never know what they was going to say.
Oh, so he thought that perhaps they would not be behaving well,
Right.
in a gentlemanly manner.
Yeah. So then he asked me what I play in that place,
Wow.
and that's when I met Brother Cornbread. He didn't have no teeth, but he could play.
Teeth Schmeeth. Okay, and so essentially you know so let me ask you this. So were you working day jobs and then at night playing music?
No, I only played. I did day jobs. That's all I did.
You mostly did day jobs
Yeah, mostly.
until Papa French.
Yeah.
Okay, and then and so how did you end up working with Guitar Slim?
Okay. Well, what happened is I was going to Grunwald School of Music at the time.
Yes.
Down on Camp Street, and someone said there's across the street at the Happy's Corral they need a piano player. So I found my way over there, and they liked what I did. So for about 6 months, or maybe longer than that, I don't know. Back and forth.
Okay.
And I met the bands from Thibodeau, was Holy Hill and all his group.
Right.
And then later on, Curtis Mitchell, he was a piano player, and he did all kind of things. And then I wasn't able to play with him anymore. So,
Okay.
but then when Guitar Slim came out with his hit, by me playing with them, they liked my style. So they called me and asked me could I go on the road with him. So
And so when you're talking about his hit, you're talking about The Things I Used to Do?
that was when he got the hit.
Okay.
Ray
okay.
Charles was on that record.
Ray Charles produced that record, right?
I do not know.
I believe he did and played on it, right? So, and also, but Ray Charles was not going to tour with Guitar Slim, right?
No.
So you were in Slim's band.
Not at the time.
Well, I mean, you
So
right,
what was
you were
happening,
drafted
Curtis
into
was
that
playing
band.
with those guys.
Yes.
When they were traveling around the city and wherever they were going.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working at Klein's down on Magazine Street, a rug company.
Okay.
And they approached me and said, Cotton, Slim got a big hit. Why don't you come on and go out there with us for a couple of weeks? So I said, man, I got to talk to my wife because we were sweethearts before I went to service, you see.
Yeah.
Well, my mother died 2 days after my birthday in 1943. I was 16. And when I made 18, you had to let those people know that you were 18.
That's
and
right.
then my dad asked me, did I want to go to California where his sister was? Her name was Beulah Ross.
Beulah Rouse.
So I said, no, I've been to Baton Rouge a lot of times. And every summer I said, I wouldn't mind going to California. So I went out there. And when my daddy got a letter from the people. Greetings from the President of the United States. You're hereby notified to be classified
A different kind of trip.
either
Yes.
a 1A or 4F, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So then he sent a letter to me out in California.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got the letter, I told my aunt, I said, I have to go back home. So when I got back home, like I was supposed to be there yesterday, and I came here today.
Yeah.
Cotton, you were supposed to be in here yesterday. Where are you? I said, hey, man, I'm here now, you know.
Right, right.
And he kept on going. I said, excuse me, sir. I didn't have to come back to this place, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he really got mad. How many years you want? 36 or 24? I said 36. And I left and went out. That was in January.
Wow.
And in March, here come a letter again. Greetings from President. You're notified that you're inducted to the United States Army Air Corps, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
Wow.
That's how I got with Slim at that time. That was 1954.
Okay. So what we've established, Mr. Cotton, is that you have a mouth on you.
I'm just telling you like it is,
So
baby.
you're not letting anybody, like, just, you know what I mean, talk to you any kind of way. Is
Oh,
what
no,
what you're saying, Right?
This grid that you see on my head is not from word.
Okay. All right, then. So the thing is, so you, we were talking about you going out with Guitar Slim, and you said you had to clear it with your sweetheart.
My wife?
Right. Who was your wife by then?
Yeah.
All right, then. And she said what?
No.
Uh-oh.
But I had
How
to
did you convince her?
I had to convince her. I said, well, you know, we make more money if I go out on the road, you know. And that's what happened.
Ah, that's a good
And
tactic.
she came out the last year that I was with her,
Mm-hmm.
in 1957.
57.
57, and 2 months, and I quit the band because she said, I'm tired of living out the suitcase.
Sure.
So she stopped in November 1957. And Jose Hill from Thibodeau, that's where everything originated with that band.
Right. And so, well, it must have been a very strong love then.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. What was her name?
Lily Mae Tasker.
Lily Mae Tasker.
Tasker, Tasker.
Yeah.
And her father was from Donaldsonville.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Oh, boy.
Mhm.
Well, so let me ask you this. You know, when you went out with Guitar Slim, you know, he'd had this monster hit, right? The Things I Used to Do. And he, you know, this is a guy who was an extraordinarily dynamic performer.
Yes, he was.
Right? So many people in music today, you know what I mean, took a lesson from Guitar Slim
Right.
and how to present themselves on stage,
Right.
or even how to get to the stage. Like when I go see Buddy Guy at the Jazz and Heritage Festival, you know what I mean, he starts with his guitar outside the tent
Well, he got
with
that
that
from-
real long chord.
Well, he got that from Guitar Slim.
He got that from Guitar Slim, right? And walks in and then walks back out again, and then, you know, he can go anywhere. Just
Yeah,
like
well, he
Guitar
had a guy, his
Slim.
name was Jimmy Cole. Jimmy Cole was a big guy, and Slim would get on his shoulder, and he'd walk outside, and he'd come back in with the chord.
That's right, with the chord.
So, but the guy, he took that from him.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like Guitar Slim, he would wear like wonderfully colorful suits and dye his hair to match the suits
And painted shoes to match it.
and painted shoes.
Yeah,
Exactly. So
right.
this guy knows about showmanship.
That's what he did.
Right. And so talk a little bit, talk a little bit about what your role was as a piano player to support a guy who's that dynamic.
There was nothing to it. We just had a lot of fun.
I suppose that's true. But, you know, what I always assume is that when you have somebody who's as dynamic as Guitar Slim, what Guitar Slim needs is a steady band. He needs sidemen who are going to keep that rhythm going.
And
so
that's
that
what
he
we
needs
did.
to do what he needs
And that's
to do.
what we did with him.
Yeah.
If he moved, he went this way, we went that way with him. Whichever way he went, boom, went that way, we went this way.
Really?
And it worked out. It was a family out there, man.
Was it?
Yes.
Wow. And so, you know, do you feel as if you have that kind of personality where you can get along with, like, even the most flamboyant people?
Right.
You do?
Yeah, some people, man, it's almost like pulling teeth out their head, man.
Yeah.
To play with them, you know, it's hard to play
Yeah.
with them. It's wonderful when you got people that really want to play.
Right. It's true. Like when I look at, for instance, I look at Chuck Berry, for instance, you know, and Johnny Johnson, his piano player.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I mean, Chuck Berry could do anything on stage.
Yeah.
Because he knew Johnny Johnson
Right.
was going to make sure everything was going to be all right.
Fine.
You know, in fact, all the charts were written in piano. You know what I mean, for the piano, not for the guitar. Right. So you know what I mean. So what kind of musical relationship would you say that Guitar Slim wanted from you?
He just wanted me to back him up, that's all.
Yeah.
With
yeah.
the rest of the guys, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had this guy, I don't know, I forgot his name. For your love, I would do anything. And he was trying to belittle Slim some kind of way. Slim said, man, I could take my guitar and play by myself, but you need a big band to play behind you.
Right. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Now Eddie, Guitar Slim was born Eddie Jones, I think. In
That's what his name,
Greenwood,
Eddie Jones.
Mississippi,
That's
right?
where they put the guitar, Eddie Guitar Slim.
That's right, Eddie
Jones.
Guitar Slim.
Mhm.
You know, and obviously he's gone down in history as a man who lived a fast life.
He did.
You know, and he actually passed away in '59 at the age of 32.
That was about 4 months before I quit.
4 months before you quit. Now, music lovers, as we all are,
Okay.
we love gossip. Okay, we
All
love
right.
gossip,
Mhm.
right? So when we do want to hear about how hard musicians played and how hard they lived and that sort of thing. And I know you've been asked a million times about Guitar Slim, so I'm only going to ask you to share one anecdote if you have one story about Guitar Slim and something unusual that he did.
Okay, the guys, some of them like to drink.
Thirsty.
So he, into the whiskey, whatever they had, and they saw that. They didn't have no more problem with his whiskey.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So wait, I want to understand. So he was thirsty. He liked whiskey.
Whatever drinks that they had, and he urinated to it.
He what? Wait, I'm sorry. I should keep my cool. Okay, so I'm sorry, sir. Did you say that Guitar Slim was actually peeing in a bottle?
Whatever he bought,
Well, it goes in one way.
it comes out another.
There you go. There you go. Oh, my word. And so, do you think that he just did that because he was lazy, or do you think that he did that because...
No, he didn't want them people to drink up his stuff. You buy your own. I buy my own. Okay.
Well, I am learning something today. Oh, my goodness. And so...
But he told me, he said, Cotton, you're going to outlive me because I'm living 2 days till you're one. And he was.
Yeah, he was.
Every city provided him with 1 or 2 women.
Yeah.
We were down south, and he brought a lady up to north with us. And when he got up north, he met somebody else, and she had to go.
And these were not gentle, sweet conversations. It's not you, it's me. It's not like that, right?
No.
It's just, see you
Yeah.
later, alligator.
That's it.
Wow.
Hit the road, Jack.
And so, in your role as sideman, you don't get involved in that kind of stuff?
Oh, no, I'm not a drinker.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't care for drinking.
Mm-hmm.
I got drunk twice in my life. That was it.
What happened?
Hey, man, we drinking, and I don't know. He didn't agree with me.
Well, that probably did extend your life. You know, that probably did, and all. But and so, do you think that Guitar Slim and some of the other performers that you've worked with who have big personalities, Big Joe Turner, you know, Dave Bartholomew, you know, I mean, do you think that that their, you know, I mean, that their antics, or that they're bigger than life, outsized personas? Do you think that they're just for publicity? Do you think that that they also, or do you think that they're hiding something else about the person?
No, I don't think so, because after I came off the road, I didn't work. I worked with so many people, I forgot. I wrote some things down.
Right.
And I put dates and stuff down. And I just can't remember some of the stuff.
That's okay. But like when you look at somebody like Guitar Slim, when you look at somebody like Big Joe Turner, right, do you think this is a troubled person?
No, what happened is we were on our way going to California, and Jose Hill and somebody else in Texas, we decided that we put together T-Bone Walker, Joe Turner, and Slim.
Yeah.
And we went start playing around in Texas and different things, and the place would be so packed, the fire marshal would come. Too many people.
Right.
So that went on for a while, but then we went on to California. But then when the people up north found out that's how we started the thing.
Right.
With, you know, putting people, packaging people coming south.
Sure.
We started that thing.
Right, but the thing is like, it's not natural for a man to die at 32. You know what I mean? Big Joe Turner didn't last he lasted longer, clearly, but he didn't die an old man, you know. What, you know what I mean, why do you suppose these people are living 2 days to your 1 day?
Living fast.
Right, but what's behind fast living? I'm not trying to be a psychologist, but I do wonder, like, these were difficult times for anybody to be performing in, and all, and so I just wonder whether their behavior lets off steam, or whether they're just trying to be themselves, or what.
Slim was a wise guy. He could quote 23rd Psalm word for word.
Wow.
He was really good. He could have been a preacher if he wanted to.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's amazing.
But I don't know what drove him. I mean, he just wanted to drink.
Yeah.
He never did food and dope, anything that I knew of.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And
drink will do it.
And he was somewhere where we were playing. He was what this guy named? He could curse on the guitar. He was doom 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 doom.
Mm-hmm.
Doom 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 doom. And we playing somewhere in West Virginia, and Slim did that to You Got Me Riding, You Got Me Flying. Jimmy Reed. He did it to Jimmy Reed. He cursed him on the guitar.
He did?
Yeah.
But Jimmy Reed was a thirsty man as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody used to like to drive with me And because I didn't drink.
Yes, you did. That's a good way to stay in the band, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, well.
Oh, boy. So, but when you in 58, you come back to New Orleans, right?
No, I came back in 57.
I'm sorry, you came back in 57. That's
and
right.
2 months later, in February, Slim died. He was
All
about
right.
32 years old.
Okay, then. And so when you get back to New Orleans, you know, did you intend to stay here? What was the allure of coming back to New Orleans? You'd played the Apollo. You'd gone around the country. You could have stayed. You could have stopped anywhere. Why did you come back here?
I don't know. When I first got up there, Mom's marvelous. She was a comedian. She tried to get me to go out on the road with her. I said,
Yeah.
no, I'm not. I'm going back home, man.
She's fantastic.
I know, even so.
Yeah.
I came back to New Orleans, man.
And so why New Orleans? Why do you want to come
yeah,
back
I don't
home?
know. Something about New Orleans. Hey, man, you leave, you come back.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So you, but the money wasn't better, was it?
No,
No.
it's just being back home.
Okay, all right. Now you played with Edgar Blanchard and the Gondoliers. You
Yeah.
played with Danny White and the Cavaliers.
Right?
You also played with Dave Bartholomew's orchestra
For 10 years.
for 10 years. Now, what was Dave Bartholomew's orchestra like?
Well,
That's a hard-working man, Dave Bartholomew.
I mean, it was just like being in the service with him. Boom. Boom. Boom.
Yeah.
And you did that, do it my way, that's it.
Right.
My way or the highway.
Wow, not a man to argue with, huh?
That's a fact.
Wow.
And he made 100.
He did make 100. That's right. He sure did. Yeah. But he had said, there's a really great tape of him actually talking. That's over at the Hogan Jazz Archive at Tulane, and he says that my dream had been to be the leader of a band for something like the Tonight Show. He says, but dreams don't buy groceries.
Right.
I had to do what I had to do, you know. So this is a guy who just thought big. He was a
All
really
the time.
big
All the
thinker,
time. He
huh?
always tried to do things better for everyone.
Yeah. And it's amazing to me that when finally there was a black band leader on the Tonight Show, the guy came from New Orleans.
Right.
Yeah.
He's something else, yeah.
Yeah. It's really pretty wonderful. And but not a warm personality, would you say?
No, he was pretty nice.
He was nice.
You just had to understand him, that's all.
That's it. And you'd already worked with some pretty flamboyant people, so you were used to
everything was fine. I didn't have any problem.
You're a steady man.
Mm-hmm.
Steady, Mr. Cotton.
Right.
All right.
And ready.
Exactly. Now, how aware were you in the 50s, for instance, and the early 60s, of Louis Armstrong? I mean, Louis Armstrong was a big international star at that time, but for an 8-year period from like 1956 until like 1964, he did not come to New Orleans because his All Stars was an integrated band, and New Orleans did
Would not accept him.
allow
I understand that.
integrated bandstands. So, you know what I mean? So, do you remember that period at all? Did anybody care here that Louis Armstrong wasn't coming?
No,
or?
I didn't really think. I remember seeing him on was it television? Yeah, I saw television at that time. Yeah, I saw him.
Yeah.
He's king of Zulu in 1949.
He was the king of the Zulus
mhm.
and all. And so at that point, you know, R&B and rock and roll were so big, you know, coming out of New Orleans and all. So were people thinking at all about Louis Armstrong at that time? Because he'd been away a long time.
I know, but there were so many different groups of playing at the time. I mean, you had this big band, you had that big band. I never did see Cab Calloway.
Right.
He never
Right.
did come south. I never did see him. But Lionel Hampton, he was always down here.
Yeah.
And I was in a group with Dave Bartholomew. We just had 5 people. And we had Dave played the trumpet.
Yep.
Warren Pan played saxophone. Then you had who else played? Smokey Johnson. He played drums.
Right.
And missing someone. No, it's 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
This was the bass, this left hand,
Yeah.
and this was the chords. Boom ching, boom ching, boom ching, boom ching, boom ching. Yeah,
And that's you.
that's me.
Boom ching.
That's what happened.
I like it. And so, you know.
Well, wait a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And riding, I used to drive for Slim.
You did. Yeah, of course.
I used to drive for him all the time. And
Yeah.
when he get drunk, he'd be sleeping in his car. And one time he was sleeping and he kept reaching for the steering wheel.
Uh-oh.
I said, Slim, I pulled on the side. I said, look, man, if you want me to continue to drive for me, you have to either get in the back seat and let me drive.
Right.
So he had what they called DTs at the time. He used to drink so much.
No way. It was the DTs that were like, prompting this sort of informal movement.
Yeah, that's what he did.
Wow. He really.
That's why he told me I'm gonna outlive him. That's why he told me, because he knew I didn't drink.
Exactly, and he was right. Yeah, and so in those years since you left, after you left Slim, you learned he died. Obviously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did he's buried in Thibodeau, I believe.
Yeah, all of them dead. Most of them dead out there in Thibodeau.
Yeah, out there. Well, there are some people who are still above ground in Thibodeau.
Oh yeah, but the band I'm talking about, the band itself. That's what I'm talking about.
I see.
The band itself. Yeah.
Did you go to the funeral?
No, I didn't go.
Yeah.
I didn't know when it was.
Yeah, exactly. And so so at a certain point, you started playing on Bourbon Street. You started playing what people call traditional jazz now, right?
Yeah.
And which is actually kind of interesting because you started out, if you were playing with Papa French all those years before, near Gotchaw's, and you were playing the same kind of music. So it's interesting how like all these musical forms, they don't really mean much because you're playing, you just keep playing all the way through them.
All right, so when we played for us, we played a certain kind of music. When we played for them, you had to play something else.
Interesting. So for us, was that like more boogie woogie, more
That's right. Rhythm,
more dance, more dance.
Yeah.
And then for them, i.e. white listeners, white music lovers, you were playing something more within the tradition of like early jazz. Interesting. And so, so would you say that your style changed significantly?
Not really.
It's the same damn thing,
Long
it's like whether you're whispering or yelling, you're still talking,
That's
right?
That's
yeah.
fact.
Oh man, so it's interesting. Did you ever know Gatemouth Brown?
No, I never did meet him. He was the one who could play violins, all kind of stuff.
That's right.
And he was the one that came on with the equation on the guitar.
He sure did.
And that's where Slim used to idolize him.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And he used to say, and I love this quote because I think it applies to you. He said, "I play world music,
right,
Texas style."
Right. That's what he said.
Yes, and I think that you play world music, New Orleans style.
That's the way it went.
Yeah, I really do believe that. And so so many. This is what I wanted to ask you because you just mentioned that so many people had passed away, people that you'd played with.
Oh yes.
And it's a great thing to be alive at your age. It's also, I would imagine, a tough thing because there's so many people who
I miss a lot of folks.
Yeah, that you miss exactly. And so Louis Armstrong, when he used to play trumpet, he would always look into the heavens,
right.
And people say, "Well, what are you thinking about? What do you when you're playing?" And he said, "Well, I'm thinking about my heavenly band."
Right.
And so do you think about a heavenly band when you're playing?
No, I don't think about anything.
Who is in your heavenly band if you had one? Who would be like if you had a dream band, living or dead? Who would you put in it?
Oh, I can't remember. I don't know. You got me now.
No.
I like any good music. I don't care what type it is.
Yeah.
I always like good music.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
That sounds great.
And when I was going to school, we had a principal. She was ahead of her time. When we was on a playground, she'd play march music, and we had to march into the building.
Really?
Yeah.
When you were in
grammar school.
In grammar school.
I went to McDonald number 6.
Oh,
Uptown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uptown, of course. You're an uptown ruler.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. Oh my God. Exactly. And so what I find also fascinating about you and really encouraging about you, Mr. Cotton, is that you still take music lessons.
Yes, I do.
From Roger Dickerson.
Right, you got that right.
The king of all teachers of music in
wonderful.
New Orleans.
He teaches me quite a few things.
Like what?
Oh, different things in chords, diminished chords, And if diminished chords is not in that particular thing, you could either raise it up or lower it down. I still don't quite understand what he's talking about.
But you keep on coming back.
Oh yeah, well I keep going back because he brought me from a long way.
Really? How long have you been studying with him?
Oh, since 1993.
1993. Because this is a guy who's taught Keanu Linnell, he's taught the Marsalis brothers, he's taught Terrence Blanchard, he's taught so many people who came out of NOCA who, who went on to amazing careers.
But I seem to miss the link.
Mr. Link?
Mm-hmm.
And so what do you want him to teach you next?
I don't know. I just want to keep going until I'm satisfied. I'm not satisfied with the way I perform.
What?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Very easy.
Easy. Who would you like to play like?
Oscar Peterson.
Oh, well, that I can understand. Yeah, Oscar Peterson. Have you ever heard Oscar Peterson's album with Louis Armstrong?
No.
You should. I'm going to get you that. It's really good.
Well, I'd appreciate it.
Do you sing?
No, I can, but I don't.
What do you mean you can, but you don't?
Sing in church.
Really? But you don't sing anything else? You don't sing secular music?
I sing whatever I feel, man. That's it.
Yeah. And so have you ever thought about doing a recital? Just you?
No.
Why not?
My adopted son, we did something a long time ago, but I'm still not satisfied with the way I perform. But if I continue to go to Roger, I'll be able to do it. Once I feel that way, then I say, let's do it.
And so, talk a little bit about your experiences over at Preservation Hall and with the Lawrence Cotton Legendary Experience Band.
I don't know, because I've outlived the competition. That's why they put me there, legendary.
What?
That's the way I see it.
Complication?
No.
What did you say? I didn't hear you.
What did I say? I forgot myself.
So you don't think it's a legendary band?
Yes, it is. We have the best people in the band. I mean, we have best musicians in the group.
Yeah.
It's really fine. All of them, we all love to play. Mm-hmm. And once you get people that does love to play, it's going to come out beautiful.
That's true.
And then the lady who sings, her voice draws people to her.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And
you all play, what, twice a week at the Preservation Hall?
No. I haven't played at Preservation Hall none this year. Since the other thing came up. For 2 years, everything been,
Oh, you mean the pandemic?
Yeah,
the
since that came up,
coronavirus.
nothing been happening.
Yeah.
The only thing I did was with the commercial for this.
Sure.
And as far as playing, I used to play over there. We played 3 or 4 times a week. And
That's what I remember.
Me, but I don't know what happened. Then every time they hire new people, they don't know us, and they pull this person or pull that person. Sometimes you never know who you're going to play with.
And so, and so do you plan to go back there once you feel
whenever they call me back, I'm going.
Yeah. Well, the phone goes 2 ways, right?
That's right.
You could call yourself, or have your representative call.
But I've been there and did that, so it really doesn't excite me anymore.
All right. And so how often do you perform with the Legendary Experience?
Whenever they call.
Yeah. And so, and so in the end, I also understood that you had something called Cotton Fest. Is that right?
It started off with my birthday.
When is that?
The 2nd of February.
2nd of February, okay.
Groundhog Day.
That's not a bad day to appear, is it?
No, not really, because you play music and everything is free. Mm-hmm. The music, the food, and everything. You never know who he's gonna hire. Yeah. But everybody who plays, they're glad to come and play.
Exactly.
And that's how it became. And then one time, it was on another day, but they still called it Cotton Fest.
Right.
And that's where it developed. That's what I see.
I see. And so will you be playing Cotton Fest next year?
I do not know. I have to ask him.
He might have to ask you.
Oh, right? No, you don't have to ask me. I play at the drop of a hat, man, no sweat.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And so what about, and so when you say you want to play like Oscar Peterson, you've got a teacher who is a composer and incredible teacher here based in New Orleans. How far do you think how many more years you think of studying is it going to take you to get to Oscar Peterson level?
I don't think I'm ever get there. I really don't know.
Yeah? But any songs in particular that you like?
No, I love all of them. I love a lot of beautiful songs, you know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like anything that sounds good and having a meaningful song, soulful things,
Yeah.
you know.
Did he live to 100 as well?
I do not know.
I think he lived to his late 90s, if not 100. Oscar Peterson. Do you all remember at all? No. But, you know, you have something in common with a lot of people who live to be, you know what I mean, who live quite near to 100 years old.
5 more years, that would be 100.
5 more years. Do you think you'll be like, you know, you might, you know, Dickerson might graduate you in
I
5
hope so.
years.
I hope so.
Yeah. I hope so too.
I hope he doesn't go.
Wow.
Please.
Well, well, it's been a thrill talking to you, Mr.
Yeah,
Cotton.
it's a pleasure for me too, darling.
Yes, and I want to ask if anybody in the audience has any questions that you'd like to ask Mr. Cotton. Yes, you back there.
Well, then we have time for one question. Here you go.
You had a lovely lady sing with your band, and I believe it was last year at Satchmo Fest, and she did La Vie en Rose. And I have wondered since who she was. Your performance together was fantastic.
She's part of my family.
Is that right?
Her husband, he's a producer of Gretna Festival in the back.
Yeah, is she here today?
Yeah, she's back there.
Is that, well, she needs to come out and take a bow.
Come
yeah,
on, Jan.
and Carrie Brown
Carrie Brown
Miss
and
Carrie Brown.
And
played for many years with Gatemouth Brown.
Take a bow, Miss Brown. Yes. I'm sorry?
What was Happy's Corral? That's my question for Lawrence. What was Happy's Corral?
that was over in Harvey. That's our
Okay.
maiden name.
Yeah.
Harvey.
Harvey. Ah, that's pretty wonderful. Yeah, Harvey.
Well, Carrie asked me would I play with her the song the audience requested,
I see.
La Vie en Rose. I'll try.
All right, you want to? I think you should. Mr. Lawrence Cotton.
And don't forget that tomorrow from 1:50 to 3, Lawrence and his legendary experience will be on the Fidelity Bank stage downstairs. This is what you call impromptu.
This is a great boon. It really is. Does she have a microphone?
Il me prend dans les bras, il me parle tout bas. Je vois la vie en rose. Il me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours. Et ça m'a fait quelque chose. Il est entré dans mon cœur, dans une part de bonheur. Donc je connais la cause. C'est lui pour moi, moi pour lui, dans la vie. Il me l'a dit, la j'aurai pour la vie. Et dès que je l'aperçois, alors je sens en moi mon cœur qui bat.
Miss Carrie Brown, and Mr. Lawrence Cotton.
Lawrence Cotton.
Lawrence Cotton, ladies and gentlemen. And we will be back in just a few minutes with round 2 for day 1, which is a discussion of the record The Real Ambassadors with Keith Hatchek. So stick around for that. And one more time for Gwen Thompkins and Lawrence Cotton.